it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
Hey there, TJ here, and welcome to Yeah The Dees, where I'm doing a very belated review of our King's Birthday win against the Pies at the MCG for round 13, 2023. I was on tour, so I had to go DJ in New Zealand, played some amazing shows there, so I was gone for quite a few days and couldn't knock this out before I went, unfortunately. So doing it now, appreciate your patience. Thank you very much for watching. First King's Birthday, and we get the win, which is great. Very happy with the game. It is either my favourite or second favourite performance for the year. I think probably the Sydney game just pips this one. Although I was absolutely joyed to get off with the win. Like a few other people, the previous performance against Carlton, I thought spoke huge volumes about our contest game, our clearance work, and the way that we changed up our defensive structure to clog up the middle. And then we brought that structure in again for this game and absolutely dismantled the Pies. Other news for the week was Cade Chandler re-signing, which is fantastic. To have the chin commit to the club, he's been great value in our team so far this year. Maybe dropped off a little bit in the last couple of weeks as opposed to when he was, bagging goals of 3 early in the year. But yeah, he's a very, very handy player to have. So let's get cracking into the teams. So Jake Bowie and James Harmes came out after the Carlton game. Jake Bowie with an injury after being collected in a marking contest, or collided into, I should say, in a marking contest, and then James Harmes also being suspended for his bump, with Michael Hibberd replacing Jake Bowie and James Jordan coming in as the sub for this game. There was 2 outs as well for Collingwood. Jordan De Goey, obviously a big out, but we are also missing Clayton Oliver at this stage. But Patrick Lipinski coming in is a big in for Collingwood that nobody really talked about. He played all 25 games last year. I feel like he's really underrated and a really, really solid player, and he was able to get on the board for Collingwood first up and have some impact. Other than that, really happy with the lineup. But yeah, let's get cracking into the game. So since it's been so long since the game, I'm filming this over a week after the game actually happened, I'm going to change up my format and just use the match timeline, and we'll get through this a bit quicker. So we start off pretty poorly, unfortunately, with Collingwood kicking these 3 goals, basically from direct turnovers or from mistakes through Lachie Hunter and Angus Brayshaw, unfortunately, to throw those players under the bus there. But they made, some really poor skill errors or just a bad decision. Like Angus didn't man up enough in the contest, in that forward 50 contest where they kicked the goal from, and then the other ones were just basically from direct turnovers. The other poor goal was Nick Dacos's one here where Angus should have manned up on him as well. And as great as Angus and Lachie Hunter were, they cost us 4 goals between the two of them with some mistakes. So I don't know if there was really nerves for the big game coming in here, but just maybe a bit emotionally too wound up with all of the Neil Danaher stuff, which I absolutely loved. I think it's great that we're doing that. I have a lot of respect for the man and what he's doing for, or what he did for the Melbourne Football Club and what he's doing now for Fight MND. It's really, really amazing stuff. But having that sort of, emotional toll before you go out and play a footy may have had some effect on some of those skill decisions and things like that. After that, we were pretty good around the ball. Our spread from stoppages was incredible. We had some really nice handball chains and kicking chains around the ground. I felt like we switched the ball a lot, and we just had some really, really good ball movement throughout the rest of the game, and our defense was incredible. But one thing that I did hate after these 3 goals was that McLaughlin said bang, 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 and you can go bang, bang, bang yourself, mate, because that's a Melbourne thing. Like Brayshaw said it, and that's our thing. Don't use bang, bang, bang against us. And it was 3 goals over bloody 15 minutes, not 3 goals in 30 seconds like what we did in the grand final. So that actually really annoyed me when I watched the replay. I've watched the replay twice, actually, because I enjoyed this game so much after being at the ground on King's Birthday. But Jack Viney gets our first goal with 8 minutes to go here, and we start to get a bit more momentum. The ball's starting to be played a bit more in our forward half, and unfortunately we can't capitalise. But kicking 3 more behinds throughout here. There was a few small incidents that I weren't too happy about, like Fritsch and JVR jumping at the same mark. Unfortunately, Cade Chandler hit the post here, but I really feel like the momentum started to swing in this game, and it was without us kicking a goal when Lockley Hunter bumped into Hoskin Elliott. And a player bumping whilst holding the ball isn't something that we see a lot of. And he just nailed him, and it was beautiful. And that's where the bump still works in this game, and I'm really glad to see it. But he kicked to Grundy, and we all had that really nice moment where the Collingwood fans were showing Brodie Grundy absolute disrespect, which was disgusting to see, and we cheered over the top of them. And I love that from Melbourne fans. I love Melbourne fans getting loud. We're naturally quiet, I think. Myself, not so much. I'm a bit of a yeller. And but I've noticed that we all want to cheer, but we want the comfort of doing it with everybody else, I think. And seeing everybody get around Brodie in this moment was really wholesome and really nice. And we've seen a lot of commentating throughout, SEN, Fox Footy, AFL 360, all that, where they've mentioned that and mentioned us drowning out Collingwood boos. And really, really happy with that one. Jack Viney almost sneaks another goal here with a cheeky snap out of a stoppage. And Cozzy Pickett also had an opportunity in this quarter that fell a bit short. So in the end, we kicked 1-4-10 to Collingwood's 3-1-19. Collingwood by 9 points. And all that damage sort of happened in that first 15 minutes. But we almost got it back on track, just didn't kick straight enough. And we get into the second quarter where Bailey Fritsch gets bumped off the ball, well off the ball, and gets a free kick. I've heard calls of him for staging and things like that. And it's regardless of whether he is or not, you can't bump or block a player that far off the ball when they're going to go for a lead. It's just that's in the rules. So it was definitely a free kick, and I'm very glad that we got it and kicked the goal there. Halfway through this quarter, Mason Cox kicks his goal, but we were able to break out of the 50, and Bailey Fritsch marks and kicks his second. Sparrow had a really, really nice kick to him for that, and isn't Tom Sparrow developing nicely. Christian Petrarca hit the post here. Collingwood got another goal through Bobby Hill. So unfortunately, even though we dominated this quarter defensively, we were unable to really capitalise. Also during this quarter, Adam Tomlinson dislocated his finger and had to get it put back in. And wow, didn't he have the best game he's had since he did his knee back in 2021. I feel like Adam Tomlinson has finally got that form back. He was decent against Carlton, even though Harry Mackay kicked those few goals on him. But, he's better for it, and he's opening up the back line for Hibberd, Lever, May to do what they do best and run across, intercept, and all that sort of thing. Petrarca also kicked a point at the siren here, so we did have our opportunities to, get in front. We had 6 scores for that quarter, kicking 2-4-16 to Collingwood's 2-3-15, and bringing the margin to 8 points at half time. Now, this third quarter was where we really got on top, and we really saw us starting to slow Collingwood and their ball movement, and that's with our change up in clogging up the middle, and we pushed Collingwood out to the wings where we play our best footy. So we really took away a lot of ball movement from Collingwood and the way that they like to move the ball, and forced them out to the wings where we like to play. And that was an absolute masterstroke in coaching and execution from the club, because I haven't seen Collingwood play that slow in a quarter all year. And they were looking up and not knowing where to go. And we would give them outs on, easy kicks out on the wing. So then they would get stuck there, and we'd end up turning it over and beating them in the contest. So it was just an absolute fantastic display to see. I thought Joel Smith played a really good game. He only kicked the 1 goal, but had multiple opportunities throughout. Took a great mark here to have that opportunity, and then was able to run in, grab another mark, and kick that goal there. Bailey Fritsch got his 3rd for the game in that quarter, and then Brodie Grundy did what he couldn't do in the first quarter, and kicks truly and puts us even further in front to even more cheers. So we got our reward in that 3rd quarter and really restrict Collingwood. Collingwood kicked 1-1-7 for that quarter. We kicked 3-3-21. Could have easily have been 5-1. Or something like that, but unfortunately our poor kicking has stopped us from getting further and further ahead and kept Collingwood in it. So we get into the 4th quarter. Actually, I need to talk about this Beau McCreary goal. I thought for 100% that this was kicked over the line, and I've watched many replays, and I'm still not 100% sure. It looks so bloody close. Every time I see it in real time, I'm like, no, he makes contact after the ball has crossed the line, but when I watch it in slow-mo, it looks like he's got enough time to fit it in. So I'm glad that the game didn't come down to us losing by less than a goal, because I would have been really shitty here. That's just that. I guess let's just go with that. It's in, and it was right, and it makes everything better. Back to the fourth quarter, and yeah, they got first goal, Patrick Lipinski again, and we have this run of 3 points in a row, which was so frustrating because I'm like, come on, we're dominating here, we're playing them so well that we should be able to break away, and then we finally get in with 2 goals here. Alex Neil-Bullen and Jacob Van Rooyen, and wasn't that a beautiful kick from Jack Viney, and some beautiful work in there to get the ball to Jacob Van Rooyen here. And then we kicked a couple more points, and somewhere around here, Melbourne fans start doing the Collingwood style chant with Melbourne, and I was like, oh no, it's way too early for that. And then we see a little bit of a Collingwood just getting advantage for the first time since probably about here, or even here. Like, it was the only time it felt like Collingwood had really gotten back on top since the first quarter, was when they started to kick these points and get a bit of well done ball movement into their forward half. I was really upset with this Nick Dacos goal. We should have been a lot tighter in the contest and guarding in that space. The Brody Myercheck one was fine. That's just, you deal with that. Very happy to keep Brody to 1 goal and 3 behinds. He's a talented player. So in the end, in that fourth quarter, we kicked 2-7-19 to Collingwood's 3-3-21. Lost the quarter by 2 points, but win the game by 4. And kicking 7 points in a quarter is atrocious. Like, if we kick 7-2, we're not worrying about any of this. We're not thinking that it's a closer game as it is, because the way that it was played, it really wasn't that close of a game. Kind of similar to when we played Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide should have put us away a lot earlier in that game with the amount of opportunities they had, but they kept us in it with their poor kicking, and that's what happened here. And by the end of this game, it was very clear that Goody and the coaching staff spent a lot of time developing a game strategy that would evolve our defensive strengths and then also help with our contested possession and around stoppages. There was a lot of times where you saw 5, 6, 7, 8 Collingwood players, especially on replay, in the vicinity of the ball, being taken on by half the numbers of a Melbourne player, and we would win the contest and get the ball out. Because once you get the ball over the 8 players that are around it, they're absolutely fucking useless. And Collingwood were almost doing that sort of bees to a honeypot kind of stuff that we used to do. And then we flick it out over the top, and that's where we were able to spread, because we had our numbers more further out or flooded back where we could switch and move across. So that's why we look to score big from turnover, because we're going to try and beat them in those contests and move the ball from there. And we caught them out quite a lot in this game. Like, we really exposed Collingwood in the contest because we're just a tougher team in there, and Jack Viney had one of the best games he's had of his career, I think. Probably even definitely for the year. He was easily best on ground, and took in that contested role that was missing from Clayton Oliver. Like, we were able to slingshot that ball very quickly multiple times. Stephen May is great at helping that from the back line. McVeigh has been a huge bonus to this team. He's very similar to Jake Bowie, but probably a slightly better interceptor, and is starting to show his offensive flair, which is beautiful. In terms of pressure acts for this game, Christian Petrarca led with 74, Jack Viney 65, Neil-Bullen 59, Cozzy Pickett had 43, and then Sparrow, Chandler and Langdon all had 40 each. In terms of pressure ratings for the quarter, the total average for both sides, we had 183 and Collingwood had 186, and we both won 2 quarters each when comparing, but they were all within like 4 or 5 points of each other. The biggest disparity was in the fourth quarter, where we had a rating of 186 to Collingwood's rating of 177. We kicked 6-14 from turnover. Like, that's 50 points from turnover, and Collingwood kicked 7-7-49 from turnover. So within a point in the end of that, but we had 6 more scoring shots on top and 6 more chances. So we should have really piled on a lot more. We also had 2 goals from centre bounces. Collingwood had none. We had 4 points from ball up. Collingwood had 1 goal, 1. we had 0 from throw-in. Collingwood had 1 goal from throw-in. And that goal from throw-in and that goal from bowl up were both, unfortunately, on Angus Brayshaw's man that he should have been manning up. And if that had happened, maybe those 2 goals wouldn't have come through. But from our set shots at goal, we kicked 7-10 from set shots. That's 52 points. And from general play, we kicked 1-4. Now, we're a lot better side than that. We do generally do a lot better than that. But and on expected scores, we would have won by 20 points instead of the 4. But that's just where that is. Let's get into the stats. So pretty even sort of spread in terms of disposals and possessions. We had 10 more inside 50s for the game and a little less disposal efficiency, but our efficiency inside 50 was better. Free kicks, was not too fast. There was a handful of free kicks that probably weren't paid, but they kind of just let the boys play for a bit. Dominated in hit-outs. Clearances fairly even. Collingwood had a little better in the centre clearances, but we were much better in the stoppage clearances. Collingwood were pretty good at trying to shark, Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn's taps. 19 plus in contested possession is a great number. Uncontested, don't really care too much about that because that's probably a lot of wasted disposals. Less in turnovers, that's beautiful. Collingwood at 80 turnovers for the match is huge. And there was a lot of their players making very uncharacteristic mistakes. I think I saw Scott Pendlebury turn it over 3 or 4 times. And you can see their average is 67.9. It's one of the lower ones in the league. And to get them at, 12, 13 turnovers for a game, so that's like 4 a quarter, 3-4 a quarter. Extra than what they're doing. That's 3-4 slingshots that we can try and run down the ground to create opportunities at scoring. And that's the difference in the game, is having 3 or 4 more of those opportunities. Then your opponent will create a difference on the scoreboard. Smashed them in marks inside 50, 15-7. Contested marks fairly even. Goals, kicked 8-18. Like, we had our opportunities. We kicked so many points, and there was 2 or 3 that didn't make the distance or get there. That just is what it is. I'm sure Mark Williams will get on to them about that. Our biggest lead was 19 points halfway through the 4th quarter, and their biggest lead was 18 points, so that's a good 37 point swing. Tackles, whilst 65's above our average, Collingwood had 73, which is a bit more. What I'm really happy with is this tackles inside 50. Having 17 tackles inside 50 is huge front on pressure, which we did quite well in the Blues game as well. So this is what we want to be seeing for the rest of the year. We want to be seeing a huge number of our tackles laid inside 50. We want, 12, 15, 17 tackles inside 50 per game. So then we're creating contests and creating ball ups in our front half. Not one bounce for the match, which is fine. So on to the coaches' votes, and Jack Viney got the perfect 10, followed by Stephen May, Christian Salem, Jack Chris, Max Gawn, Bailey Fritsch, Christian Petrarca, and Tom Mitchell, which means the coaches would have broken up the votes to look like this. On to my votes, and I gave 1 vote to Adam Tomlinson. I thought he played a very important game in important moments, had a great impact in defence, and helped the team out around the ground, hit some really important kicks too. Gave 2 votes to Bailey Fritsch, who was easily our best forward on the day, presenting up the ground, taking some marks, kicking some goals, having some great options there. It was another really good game from Bailey Fritsch. He also played very well the week before. Gave Jake Lever the 3 votes, another impressive defending game. Also had some very vital moments where he had to come up, meet the Collingwood players in the middle of the ground to help cause a turnover and create goals for us. He made a lot of very important decisions that impacted the game at critical times, which is also what Stephen May did. I feel like our back line really helped propel this game because they were moving a lot of the ball forward and taking a huge number of intercepts and creating turnovers. Gave 5 votes to Christian Salem. He's right back into Ferrari form. He is a absolute jet of a player, and it's great to have him back to his best. We've really missed him over this time where he's been injured. And then obviously Jack Viney gets the 6 votes, the best on ground, one of his best performances ever. Jack Viney had his game. He had a game high 32 disposals, a game high 19 contested possessions, a game high 9 clearances, a game high 11 tackles, game high ranking points of 156. Game high ground ball gets of 15, game high score involvements of 7, game high score launches of 3, and also won the match ceiling clearance at the end. What an absolute superstar Jack Viney is. So our leaderboard looks like this, with Christian Petrarca far ahead, picking up quite a few votes, while Clayton Oliver has been out. But Jack Viney has been storming home with, I think this is his third or fourth best on ground performance now this year. Onto the VFL now, and a disappointing loss to Collingwood, especially after such a superb start here, kicking the first 5 goals of the game. But unfortunately, the Casey Demons could only kick 4 more for the rest of the game, and Collingwood just had the equivalent of what we had in that first quarter. They had a 5-goal second term, and then went on to win by 14 points. It's a bit of a weaker team in here for Casey. And just not too much to really write home about. Like Blake Howe's 31 disposals, not bad. Bailey Laurie 20. Luke Dunstan had 19 coming back from injury. Josh Shackey not really much impact with the 15 there. So yeah, just a bit of a down game here. So I don't think anyone's really going to be pushing for selection. So sitting third on the ladder, pretty happy with that. Even happier with Fremantle having 2 losses in a row now and dropping down to 13th. That first round draft pick looking delicious at pick 6 for us at the moment. Wouldn't that be lovely to have pick 6 in the draft? So they just seem so up and down, Fremantle, at the moment, and you don't know which side's going to turn up. And of course, we copped them when they were having a good run of a couple of weeks. And that's just footy. Looking forward to us playing Geelong this week on Thursday nights. It should be very interesting. I don't think Dangerfield will be playing after suffering a partially collapsed lung and some broken ribs. So it'll be interesting to see who they throw in their midfield. Their midfielder has been getting beaten quite a bit by a few other teams this year. Obviously, Geelong's forward line is incredible with Tom Hawkins, Tyson Stengel and Jeremy Cameron, and their back line. Well, any back line with Tom Stewart's going to be pretty handy, but I think we might get down there and get a hold of them, which would be good. We're giving ourselves all of the best chances too. We're treating it like an interstate game. The club's going down tomorrow to stay there the night and train on the ground. They actually only had 4 days off after the game because they came back and trained Saturday, Sunday, and they changed the dimensions of the ground at Casey Fields to be the same as GMHBA, giving themselves the best chance to understand the size of the ground and the differences and train on that and get used to that. So they're giving the team the best chance here to go out and have a good showing, which I think is fantastic. So yeah, I think that'll be it for Yeah The Dees this week. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I will definitely get the review for our Geelong game out a lot sooner than I have for this one, but I appreciate you still watching this review so late, so thank you for your time. This has been Yeah The Dees.
Petrarca! Oh wow! How good is that? Sparrow to make it a 3-goal, 3-pointer lead. He's got it! Surely not another one. Handball to Oliver, streaming through. Bang! Bang, bang, bang! Melbourne are the premiers for 2021!
And it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.